I'm ready to fight. Can't wait to fight him, and I will knock him out. I promise everybody. I promise you, peoples in Brazil. I promise you, my coach. We're gonna change up everybody's life, and I will bring that belt to Brazil.
It's a wild thing because you don't just say you're going to beat him, you say you're going to knock him out. You believe that in your heart.
Because I think the only way to beat Islam is knocking him out. But I don't think nobody can beat him by points, so I think that the easier way, like not easier, but the less hard way is knocking him out. I'm excited to test myself against him.
After Islam Makhachev's dominant win at UFC 330, Carlos Prates wasted no time making his intentions clear. He wants the champion next, claiming the only way to beat Islam is to knock him out.
I know I'm really underdog, but not because of the title, only because of the title or money, but I really want to fight him because I want to test myself against him, I'm really excited to do this. I really think I can win. I can shock the world. I can make everybody surprised.
Prates sees this matchup as the biggest opportunity of his career. He believes it gives him the chance to prove himself against the best and leave the cage as a UFC champion.
Beat Islam it would be huge in my career because he's #1 pound for pound. I'm gonna fight for the belt, and I'm gonna bring the belt to Brazil.
As the welterweight division grows more competitive, Islam Makhachev recognizes Carlos Prates as a dangerous contender. With several tough challenges ahead, Prates now has the opportunity to prove himself against the best and fight for the UFC title.
In the welterweight division, you got Carlos Prates. The guy is a killer.
Morales.
You also,
no, I feel, bro, they have real contenders, who is who can give me good fights, That's why I have to be focused. I have to training more.
Turning to the potential matchup, Javier Mendez makes it clear that Islam Makhachev is ready for any opponent. He respects Carlos Prates as a dangerous contender and stresses that every challenger will receive the same preparation and respect.
We're expected to fight the best ones available, so if it's Prates, great. If it's Morales, great. If it's Shavkat, great. Bring him. I don't care. Islam is not going to care who he fights. Well, look, if we are pound for pound #1 and we claim that, which we do, we shouldn't be afraid of anybody, and Islam's not. So I don't think he cares who's next. If it's the #1 guy the UFC picks, that's who we fight. So it's like you come, let's see what you can do. We'll prepare for you too, just like everybody else. And we have to respect every one of these fighters. Carlos Prates is an incredible fighter.
Adding to his assessment, Mendez enjoys watching Carlos Prates compete and appreciates the personality he brings to the sport. He sees Prates as an entertaining and dangerous contender, and he would welcome the matchup if the UFC makes him Islam Makhachev's next opponent.
You go, hey, that guy's cool. I like him. I like watching him fight. And, this cigarette stuff, what he does, it reminds me of the Ricardo Mayorga in boxing routine, where you go out smoking and go out and win a world title, So, Carlos Prates is a character. I like what he does. I like what he brings to the table. And if the UFC wants that to be our next opponent, I'm happy about it.
Meanwhile, Ariel Helwani adds another strong case for Prates. He points to Carlos Prates' activity and quality wins as key reasons why he stands out as the most logical choice for Islam Makhachev's next title challenger.
They had Carlos there. They had cameras on him. They did the split screen with Michael Morales and Carlos Prates. I feel in my heart of hearts it's going to be Carlos Prates. I feel like that's the move. That's the guy who's been more active. That's the guy who has the higher quality wins. I feel like this is the move.
However, the matchup would come with a major challenge for Prates. Luke Thomas acknowledges Prates' striking threat, but highlights Islam Makhachev's takedowns and back control as potential deciding factors in the fight.
It would seem to me that in all likelihood, Makhachev is going to be a bad matchup for Prates, because on the feet, do I think Makhachev is going to beat Prates? No, I do not. I think Prates would set him on fire. But I think the ability for him to get the takedown, which was not necessarily that hard for JDM to get, and again, there's a question of how hard at the end of the first round Prates was resisting the takedown, and there was 30 seconds left. I think he may have been just like, whatever, But I do think the ability for, I think Islam will have the ability to get the takedown, and I do think he's going to have the ability to capture the back, and that could be quite decisive. So as much as I want to give Prates his due, and he has certainly owed it, we also have to give Islam his due and recognize that's going to be a very, very tough fight should they end up making it. Again, we'll see what it looks like by that time. But dude, Prates is on his way. This guy is going to get a title shot one way or the other.
At the same time, Luke Thomas questions whether Carlos Prates has the complete skill set to beat Islam Makhachev. However, he highlights Prates' exceptional power, noting that even his simplest strikes can cause serious damage.
Carlos Prates right now, I'm not fully convinced he's well-rounded enough to beat a guy like Islam, which is obviously an incredibly high bar that you have to clear. But I will say this, Chuck, his power and his ability to be punishing and unforgiving with simple touches of what he's doing, right? Not even necessarily like, oh, I'm going to throw it as hard as I can. I'm just going to make contact with you. And then that being devastating. He's got that more than anyone else in this division by a long shot.
Joe Rogan has his eyes on Carlos Prates, highlighting the Brazilian's power and finishing ability. He sees Prates as a dangerous fighter who can create serious problems for anyone standing across from him.
The dude I got my eyes on the most is Carlos Prates. I got my eyes on him the most.
Dude,
He's accurate. That Jack Della Maddalena KO was crazy. Jack is so fucking good, and he's so tough. He's so tough, and to watch Carlos just tee off on him like that.
Demetrius Johnson expects Carlos Prates to create a more aggressive matchup for Islam Makhachev. Prates is more willing to engage in exchanges, which could make the fight more exciting, but that same approach could give Islam more opportunities to close the distance and use his grappling.
I think Carlos Prates will be harder just because he will be more willing to engage in combat, meaning that he's not going to try to run. He's going to engage in fighting Islam. But with that being said, it's going to give Islam the opportunity to be able to get his hands on Carlos. So I think the Carlos versus Islam fight is going to be way better than the Ian Gary fight.
Sean O'Malley rates Carlos Prates higher on resume, but Michael Morales offers the more intriguing overall challenge. Morales brings stronger wrestling and grappling, with solid underhook work and takedown defense, while Prates remains the more dangerous striker.
You best believe I'm getting the belt back. Sugar versus Peter. 2, wherever, whenever, I'll be ready. Say Merab goes out there and gets the job done. Could we see Sugar versus Peter rematch anyway? We sure could. But there's a lot of options. We got Song and Umar fighting. We got Peyton Talbot fighting Figueiredo. Mario's out there. Corey ripped his hamstring off his freaking bone. Who else we got there? David Martinez is fighting soon. Hani Barcelos, I think, is fighting soon.
Wade Plemons puts Carlos Prates in the mix for Islam Makhachev's next challenge. He points to Ian Gary's performance as a useful blueprint for Prates, while highlighting Gary's talent and how close he came to becoming welterweight champion.
Where Ian hits the ground. Now, did he stay down there? Was he hurt badly? No, he popped back up to his feet, and Islam did a great job from there with a nice judo throw. Took him over and controlled him on the ground again for the rest of the round. But this was a key moment because now Ian Gary's down 2 rounds. And having been down 2 rounds, this means he needs to step on the gas pedal. This means he needs to be, forget efficiency. We have to be a bit desperate now. Because you lose one more round and the fight's over, you've lost, right? Well, round 3, Ian came out and was more successful. Now again, this wasn't a barn burner of a round, but he took a little bit more risk. He did throw some of those oblique kicks. He did throw some kicks to the body. He did land some punches upstairs.
Din Thomas views Carlos Prates as a favorable matchup for Islam Makhachev. He points to Prates being easier to close the distance on and take down. Din Thomas said, Carlos Prates could be a better matchup for Islam because he may be easier to get a hold of and take down. However, an MMA analyst picks Carlos Prates to win, pointing to his powerful kicking game and ability to maintain distance. The leg and body kicks could create problems, while Prates also brings greater finishing power and enough striking threat to make the fight competitive.
I'm gonna pick Carlos Prates. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know why, I just feel like he's gonna win. I don't know why.
Were you gonna pick him though before you saw this Ian Gary fight, or is it the Ian Gary fight?
I was already starting to feel it, to be honest. Before the Gary fight, I was starting to be like, dude, it's gonna be Gary or Prates that beats him. I don't know why. I think it's because like the calf kicks will be the fact that Islam kind of didn't really have an answer for those oblique kicks at all, those leg kicks, and the body kick. I really expected Islam to be body kicking more. Obviously he landed that big head kick and that was cool to see. That was a great moment, but the body kick really bothered him. And I do feel like, okay, like Prates can definitely kick this guy and keep him at that long range for at least like 3 rounds. Like, he can make it competitive, and I think he has way more power, way more finishing ability.
Carlos Prates rates his striking and technical ability above Michael Morales. He argues that Morales' size may give him an advantage against Islam Makhachev, but Prates considers himself the more skilled fighter overall.
I think people think Morales can fight better than me just because he's stronger, you know? Because, of course, on the strike, I would kill Morales. And grappling, I don't know. Everybody called that guy wrestler, but I never saw him try a takedown, you know? So I don't know. Maybe people say like Morales would have like more chance to beat Islam because he's bigger, you know, like he's really heavy. But about techniques and things like that, I think I'm much better.
Prates acknowledges that Michael Morales' size could make him harder for Islam Makhachev to take down. He also expresses interest in fighting Morales himself.
He's really good. He's undefeated. But I think people think like he can have more chance to beat Islam because he's stronger, you know, like he's bigger guy. And it would be like a little bit harder to Islam taking him down.
I gotta say, you versus Morales is a dream fight for me.
For me too, bro. I would love to fight him, you know?
MMA Guru also made a strong case for Carlos Prates getting the next shot at Islam Makhachev, pointing to the areas where Prates could hold an advantage.
I'd love for the contender to be like, this is another absolute goated win to have on his resume.
Yeah.
So I just love to have that ultimate #1 contender fight again. But if Makhachev returns before the end of the year or January,
no shot.
Then give it to Carlos Prates. It's a fun fight. Prates does damage. Makhachev weirdly does mark up a lot from not a lot of punishment. Like even in the clinch if Ian Gary's hurting you in the clinch, Prates is going to be doing insane damage if he catches you at range.
Guru suggested Carlos Prates face Michael Morales first, with the winner then moving on to challenge Islam Makhachev for the title.
But for Makhachev, he said he wants to fight before Ramadan, so he's thinking January.
That makes sense.
I saw Morales and Prates in the crowd at this event, and they were kind of like chummy with each other, like laughing and like chucking some zingers back and forth at each other in the crowd. There used to be a way of figuring this shit out, and that would be if Morales and Prates fought each other in a fight night main event with an open crowd and the people. I think that would be an amazing title elimination bout. It would hype up the winner versus Makhachev even more because we know we're going to be waiting some time for Makhachev to come back.
Islam also believes a fight Prates versus Morales should decide who's next for the title shot.
I don't know who I want to choose, you know, no matter who is them. Maybe let them fight. Why they not fight in this card to see who is the #1 contender, you know?
Kamaru Usman highlights the rising talent at welterweight, with Carlos Prates standing out as a serious threat. He also points to Michael Morales' elite athleticism and physical tools, making both fighters important names in the division's title picture.
We're talking about the guys at the top of the landscape right now. Carlos Prates, obviously, you know, that's a guy that I think so highly of. He's one of my favorites right now to watch. I'm a fan of his. Morales also, Michael Morales is very, very good. I think he might be the most athletic one of those guys in that crop. Michael Morales, I think, might be the most athletic. I think he certainly is the biggest out of those guys.
Adding to the discussion, Michael Morales also remains firmly in the title conversation. Demetrius Johnson points to his undefeated record and physical advantages as factors that could make him a difficult challenge for Islam Makhachev.
Michael Morales taking on Islam Makhachev, and that is him taking on King Kong himself because he's a massive guy. I think he cut 52 pounds in order to make the weight for the backup. So the biggest thing with that one is Islam's just gonna have to take out a bigger monster, and I think he can. And guys, I'm really happy for Islam Makhachev. He was so kind to come on the Mighty Cast, talk to us.
Aaron Bronstetter also makes a strong case for Morales, highlighting his undefeated run, physical advantages, and well-rounded skill set. In Bronstetter's view, Morales presents a dangerous matchup because there are very few clear areas where opponents can exploit him.
He's a natural 55er. He's moving up a division. He's defending the title in 2 divisions, and now facing these bigger guys, these monsters. I mean, Morales is undefeated. He's huge. I saw Morales backstage today.
Yeah, what did he look like, man?
And
Give
he
us
made
the
weight
scoop.
yesterday. Like he looks like he weighs like 215 pounds today. He's a monstrous guy. So when you have like a guy like that who we haven't seen that many flaws so far, like he's going to be a difficult guy to break down for Islam. Like I would like to see him fight for the title next. I think that would be the more intriguing matchup. He did make weight as the backup. I don't know if that means he's next. Prates says he's next, but personally, I think the more intriguing matchup is Morales.
Furthermore, Rick New York proposed a simple way to settle the title picture: put Carlos Prates and Michael Morales against each other first. He argued that Prates would need to beat Morales to prove he was ready to make a serious run at the championship.
Fight Michael Morales. If you are going to be the champion of the UFC, if you are to be the thing that we all believe you to be, you should be able to beat Michael Morales. And the same can be said for Morales, right? If you are to be the champion, your win over Sean Brady is great. It's fantastic. But if you beat Carlos, it's even better. I'm so over this idea that like there's a queue developing, there's 9 guys in line. Let them fight and see who's next in the meantime.
Now, the question is whether Carlos Prates gets his shot at Islam Makhachev and gets the chance to prove he belongs at the top. If the matchup happens, the welterweight title picture could get very interesting. Subscribe for more UFC updates, fight breakdowns, and the latest MMA news.